Hi, it's John from Crafts by John UK. Today I'm going to show you how with two similar stamped images you can achieve two completely different looks. The card on the left and the card on the right both have exactly the same stamped images and the same sentiment, but by using some stenciling and some inking around the edge, the card on the right looks quite different than the one on the left. You can see the left-hand one, very clean and simple, just the stamping, the colouring, no edging, no stenciling, nothing, just a matte layer with a blue. The one on the right, we've used stencil, with ink dabbed, with ink edged, and then we've mounted it. And you can see that looks quite different. It's got more depth, it's got more interest, and it actually pulls your eye more in. So it gives you a kind of a focal point through tunneling, basically. So in this video, I'll show you how to achieve the difference and what I did to make this one look significantly different than that one, which hopefully you'll enjoy. Okay, I've got my two pieces of watercolor cardstock here. This is a 300 GSM watercolor card, which is really nice for working with water on because it's so thick it does not warp, does not bend. It's absolutely great. So we're going to use that, and we're going to be using these two stamp sets. These are by All and Create. This one is called Frosty, and it features a couple of cute little penguins. And then I'm also going to use this A Day Older, A Day Better sentiment stamp. This is also an All and Create set, number 666, which is everyday sentiments. It's got a lot of nice, useful sentiments on there with a funny, kind of quirky text, which is quite nice. I'm going to use my stamping platform. I want to make sure that both cards are the same. You'll notice I've got a piece of paper in here. Now, this is a useful tip. If you have a piece of paper underneath, it lifts the paper or your cardstock up a little bit, which sometimes makes sure that it actually stamps well, which is interesting. So I've got my stamps. What I'm going to do to illustrate this point, because remember this video is all about the difference that kind of borders can make, I'm going to place my two penguins, and I want to give them something to ground on. So I'm going to place them in a position where I can fit something underneath. And then I'm not actually going to use the sentiments from this stamp set. This has Together, Chilly, and also Icy. I don't want to use that. I want to use this because these are going to be birthday cards. So I'm going to use A Day Older, A Day Better. So I'm going to plop that down the bottom. Once I've got everything on here, obviously I'm going to look at the kind of layout and just work out what I want to do. I want some edging, and I don't want to put this too much kind of in the middle, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm going to have some white space, but I want to make sure this is roughly in the middle. Now, don't forget that on your stamping platform, you've actually got a ruler. So you can see this is 14 centimeters. That tells us that 7 centimeters is the midpoint. That allows me to kind of roughly, just by eye, get my sentiment in the middle, but also tells me the middle of the card. So if I want to kind of make sure that my proportions are right, that's useful for obviously achieving that. So I'm going to shut my platform, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to stamp this in blue ink. I normally work in black, but because this is penguins and it's kind of frosty and icy, I'm actually going to use the VersaFine Deep Lagoon, which is quite a nice blue. This is a new stamp set. I've not used either of those before. I bought these in the All and Create sale. They had a great sale on during January. So these are new stamps, but what I've already done is I've spritzed them with my Distress spritzer, and I've got all the dust from the manufacturing process off, hopefully, so that they stamp perfectly. Just giving them a little press. So yeah, hopefully they should work okay. Right, I'm just going to go straight in with my blue ink. This is quite cute. This penguin's got text down the middle of it, which just gives it a little bit more interest, which is good fun. So let's have a look at that and see how that works. Cool. So I've got myself a little stamp press here, just a little one that I bought off Amazon. It's quite useful just for getting an even pressure and just making sure that everything has been stamped. Right, let's have a look at that. And the fact that I'm using my stamp platform. Now you can see here, that's not actually got all that text. So I'm just going to give that a little press. There we go. A Day Older, A Day Better. and similarly there on that wing. But the fact that I'm using my platform means that obviously I can fix that fairly easily. Right, I'm just going to take out my emboss powder. So I keep mine in a big tub, as you'll know if you've seen my other videos, and it's just super easy without all that faffing around to just do that. Lots of little technique tips in my videos if you keep watching. So I've got that now, that's got embossed powder on it. I'm going to just put that on one side and I'm going to stamp the other one because I've got everything in the right place. So I want to do the two while I'm at it. So let me just pop that out of the way, grab my blue again, and let's just give that another ink. And when you do, use the ink pad, move around, just make sure that any areas that, again, a little bit dried up, don't actually affect the quality of what you stamp. So let's just close that down again. I'm just going to press down this time. Paying particular attention to those areas that didn't maybe stamp quite so well last time. Right, let's have a look at that now. There we go. It's pretty much perfect this time. That's fine. So again, into the embossed powder. I'll shake that off. There we go. Both of those are ready now to heat emboss. So I'm just going to clean up my stamp. It's good to do that as you go along. Those that watch my videos know that I'm quite tidy. So I spritz that using just my Distress sprayer, and then I've got a cloth here that I'll just give that a wipe for. Better to use a cloth than wet wipes, because wet wipes do leave fibres on your stamps, and also they're not great for the environment. So let's just clean that up, and then I will pop them back onto the stamp set. This is quite a cute stamp set. I think I'll probably use it for some Christmas cards as well later in the year. And as I said, I got it in the All and Create sale, so it was a good little bargain. So that is that frosty set. I'm just going to pop that back into its packet. There we go. And just again, if you want to just see it, it's number 603, Together, Chilly, Icy, but the actual set is called Frosty and it's number 603. Let me pop that out of the way. And then similarly with our sentiment stamp, just pop that back in its packet. I'm definitely going to use a lot of these. And that one is, I think it's called Everyday Sentiments. Yeah. Hoping that you'll bloom again. I'm here for you. Cheers. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary. Enjoy the little things in life. Some really lovely sentiments here that you can use for lots of different occasions. So that one will certainly get its usage. Okay, so now we're going to make some noise, I'm afraid. We need to heat emboss both of these penguins. So I've got the two here. And I'm just going to heat emboss them. What we're then going to do is we're going to do some basic colouring in the penguins. And then we will show what we're talking about today, which is really the difference that kind of finishing makes and edging. So my heat tool is now up to temperature. Apologies for the noise. I'm just going to work my way around the penguins. And apologies if this also goes out of focus. But I'm lifting the paper from the cutting mat. Now again, another little tip. This is useful to do because it allows the heat to go through the paper. So it kind of embosses better if you do that. If you have it flat on a surface, it doesn't seem to actually emboss as quickly. You can see the magic there as it happens. As it becomes embossed, it becomes sparkly, and it kind of sets. So you've got a nice edge to colour up to as well, which is good. And always do the other side as well. This helps with your card, not letting your card bend too much from the heat. Always useful to do. There we go, so those are done. You can hopefully see how nice and shiny they are now. And then similarly, just work our way onto the other one. The heat tool is hot already, so it's really not going to take too long to do. It's quite nice stamping in blue actually rather than black. We usually stamp in black. Makes a change to do it in a slightly different colour. And again, just do the back. Helps your cardstock stay level and not bend too much. There we go. Cool. So we've now got both our images stamped and heat embossed, ready to colour. Now I'm going to colour with my watercolour pens. People that watch my videos will know I use these all the time. These are the Arteza set. I think there are 96 pens in this set. It's 4 trays of 12, 24, 48, no, 48. Is that right? Yeah, I think yeah, 48 set, sorry, 48 colours. I've had these about 3 or 4 years. They're still working fine. There's absolutely no problem. They're really good. So I use these all the time. I'm going to use just a blue on this. I just want to give this a kind of a blue tone. So I'm going to take my blue pen and I'm going to do some super quick colouring. What I'm going to do is literally lay some blue around the edges of my penguin. And you can see I am paying 0 attention here, literally splatting it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the water brush that comes with the set, and I'm going to pull the colour out. If you've watched my technique videos, you'll know that I use this technique quite a lot. I've just got a piece of kitchen towel here, but basically what I'm going to do is just go in. I'm not squeezing my water pen, it's got water in it, but I'm literally just going to wet those edges and pull that colour into the card. This gives us quite a nice effect. So it'll give us a darker edge and then it'll give us a lighter bit in the middle where obviously the colour thins out as you kind of pull it. Take some colour off if it becomes all too much of a mush and it all looks the same, but you can see how quickly you can get a really nice coloured effect. There you go, that's literally 10 seconds of colouring. Similarly here, go always round where you've put the colour down first, just to wet it. That kind of activates the ink. Then I would take some off and then pull that colour into the middle. And that's how you end up with quite a nice blend faded effect. You could spend ages trying to achieve this with other pens or pencils, but actually with these you can do it in literally a minute. If you want to lighten it further, you can blot as well. That'll take even more colour off. So you end up with this kind of effect where you've got like darker bits around the edges, but a light sort of colour of penguin all the way through. So I'm going to colour the other one exactly the same way. So literally some blue kind of around the edge and at the bottom and on this one as well. And it doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same, but you get the idea. So we start off by going over our colour, activating the blue. That also loads it up on our brush. Then take some off onto the kitchen towel and then just stretch that colour into the main body of the card. Any blobs you get or any dark areas, just kind of go over with the water brush. We want it smooth, but obviously not too dark throughout because then you won't get that nice contrast. There we go. Then again on the little one, over the blue to start with, pulling it around, and then I'm taking that colour off. So my water brush is kind of neutral, and then just going over it again, and that will spread out the pigment or the ink so that you get a kind of a 3D effect. I'm going to blot in the middle there, blot in the middle there. There you go, there's our two penguins. Now what I might do, just for a little bit more realism, just add a tiny little bit of yellow. I'm not sure exactly which penguin it is, but one of them has a kind of a yellow at the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, just blend that in. So you can see there, didn't add a lot. And then I'm just going to pull the colour down so that I get a little bit in the middle, and then just blot that. So that just adds a little bit more interest. We get a kind of a mixed colour down the bottom, and I'm blotting that. There we go. So that just adds a little bit of extra interest to our penguin. Similarly on the other one, over with just a little bit of yellow at the bottom. You really hardly need any ink for this at all. And notice I start off the yellow. I start in the blue and I go down and kind of pull that up. If I started on the yellow, that would have, because I'd woken the pigment up, that would have given me a much stronger, like I've just done there. But then what I can do is just blot that away. There we go. And then go down kind of from the middle to the bottom. There we go. So both of our penguins are now coloured. And this is the point where we kind of start to see the point of this video. So we've now got two card features. They're the kind of main panel of a card. What we would do is we will edge these probably in a blue paper. So I've got myself a kind of a mid blue, and I'll edge it in that and then put it onto a white 6-inch card blank. That is a nice, clean and simple, basic card. I'm going to leave that one clean and simple, but we're going to work on the other one. So let me pop that away. Now what I've got this All and Create stencil. This one is called Lots of Crosses, and you can see it's lots of tiny little crosses, some bigger ones, etc. This is an interesting stencil. I've used it quite a few times. It's really good for edging because it's got quite an interesting effect. You can see here there's a little bit of stain on there from a previous card, some sort of reds and pinks, but that's not really going to matter. But what I could do, I can lay it on top of the card, and then what I'm going to do is use my smoothies. So I've got a little tub with my smoothies stored in it. I'm going to take a kind of blue, and then I'm going to use salvage patina that I've got on my desk in front of me. This is a distress oxide. So it's quite a nice juicy colour. And I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to ink through this. So I'm going to ink all around my penguins just to show you the difference in contrast between leaving one simple and leaving one with a more of an edged effect. So I'm not going to stick my stencil down. I'm literally just going to hold where my penguins are. Taking my smoothie, I'm going to just dab down. Now I'm going to start in the corners heavier. And as I get towards my penguins, I'm getting lighter. You can control how much ink goes on quite easily using this technique. Dob, 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 dob. Heavy on the edge, fading as you kind of go into the middle. That controls the amount of ink. Go round the edge again, kind of at the end, because you want to make sure you've got some decent colour kind of on the outside. Swap fingers and repeat the same on the other side. So you want it a little bit faded as you kind of go into the middle, just giving a hint of that effect so that it doesn't steal from your main focal point, but it's enough that it kind of draws your attention and says, hey, there's something else going on this card. Similarly again, darker kind of as you go around the edges. You could do a little tiny bit in the middle if you want, a little bit kind of near the text if you want, but probably better to stay away from there. Right, if I take that off now, you'll see you've got all of that now going on around the edge, which you don't have on the other card. What I would also do now is I would take either a piece of scrap paper or a sponge, a clean one, and I would also now actually do the edge. So I'm just using the naked smoothie and very light touch just to kind of go around the edge. This kind of reinforces the message that there's something else going on this card. Just move that up a bit so you can see, but I'm just basically taking a little bit of ink. I can take some off onto my cutting mat if I want, and then I'm just going around the edge. This kind of gives that reaffirmation that there's something edged on this card, and it kind of gives you, calls your attention actually to the focal point. So move the card around as you kind of go, and we're just giving that a nice bit of edging. Now what you could do, and something I do quite often, but I'm not going to do it on this one, is use two tones of the same colour. So you could use quite a light blue. This is this salvage patina, but you could then use a darker blue and just do that on the very, very edge of the card. So it kind of implies that, you know, the colour is going off the edge. I'm not going to do that in this case because I don't want to overwhelm it, but it would work on this because obviously we've got a darker blue on the penguins. What you could do also is just do the very edge of the card in a blue as well. You could either use the blue of the VersaFine that we've already stamped with, or you could use a different colour, maybe Distress ink or Distress Oxide, if you've got a darker blue like Faded Jeans or something like that. Right, I'm just cleaning my work surface. And there we go. That's where we are now. So you can see now we've got kind of a nice effect around the edge. Just looking at that, and I'm thinking I do actually want to do a darker blue. I'm just going to grab one quickly. Now, I've talked myself into Faded Jeans. So I'm just going to grab that, and I'm going to find a slightly darker blue sponge. There we go. And I'm just going to go around the edge. So I'm putting the ink onto the sponge, and then I'm literally holding it and going around the edge, sometimes going left to right, sometimes just actually dabbing it directly onto the edge. And what I will do is I will do the corners as well. So that just gives you the slightly darker effect right on the edges of the card. There we go. So you can see now I've got no white edge, I've got dark and blue edges. And then I'll just use the residual ink to just do a little tiny bit on the edges. So you can see I've already got that lovely blue of the salvage patina, and now I'm adding just a little bit more blue just to give it a little bit of depth using the Faded Jeans. I'm not adding any more ink to my sponge. I don't want to overwhelm it, I don't want it to be too much, but I'm literally just dabbing a little bit of colour. Turn your sponge as well, because you've probably got ink in other places on the sponge. There we go. Let me just give that a wipe. And you can see now that we've got that effect. So we've got the blue, or the salvage patina, and then we've got the kind of blue on the edges. Again, compare and contrast. One clean and simple, one with a lot more depth. What we're going to do now, we're going to mount the card onto the backing. So I've got my double-sided tape here, and I'm going to use the double-sided tape to stick that layer down. This is called matte and layering for those people obviously that are familiar with the technique. But basically it's when you take your kind of focal point and you add a layer of colour underneath just to back it up, reaffirm the message before you get onto your card blank. I tend to work with white card blanks. I do sometimes colour them, but white is pretty much classic, and everything looks good on a white background. So I'm just going to lay my tape down on that one and do the same on the other. I need to grab another roll of double-sided actually, because I'm nearing the end. This is basic double-sided tape. I get it from Amazon. I think it's, I don't know, about £5 for 3 or 4 rolls. I do not hold with this whole buying the most expensive brand of everything. It's absolute poppycock. You don't need to buy expensive glue. You don't need to buy expensive tape. Basic stuff does the job. Yeah, I'd say use your money to invest in the other areas of card making. So let's grab our tweezers. I always use tweezers to do this, and take these tapes off. What you'll see, I tend to do this quite quickly. It's all done by eye. I don't measure. I'm not too scientific. I also, another tip, I also stick my layer down and then cut around it. A lot of people measure very carefully, take a long while, then lay it down, blah, blah, blah. I don't do all that. I lay it down and then I cut it because I find that's quicker and way more accurate. So move your layer in. I'm looking at this top left corner, looking down this left-hand side, and then across the top. And then what I will do is I will grab my metal ruler and a scalpel, and I will literally cut. Now I need to move it just slightly out of camera, sorry, just have a look. And then I'll cut that. And then similarly here, there we go. So that's ready. And then what I'll do is I will quickly do the other one. Those that watch my videos know I'm quite quick when I make cards. I don't mess about. There's no need to take hours to make a card. So all my tapes are off, and then I will find a good edge. Now, this is from a pad, so what I'm noticing here, and I don't know if you can see it, is this edge is a little bit rough where it was in the top of the pad. So I'm actually going to turn it over and go the other way. So I'm going to line this one up in this corner. Go. And if you're worried about getting any dirty marks on it, turn it over. This is why we continually clean our cutting mat. Okay, and then we just need to trim that down. So just roughly look at it. This is all done by eye. These are handmade cards. It doesn't need to be perfect to the micron. There we go. Put that away, add that to the scraps pile, and then go. So we've now got both our cards, again, compare and contrast. One very simple, one slightly more. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a couple of white 6-inch card blanks. These are just basic ones that you buy in a pack, and then you just fold them. So just following the line, always go in from the other side and then grab a bone folder and just fold that down nicely. Again, just check it. I always just make doubly sure it's absolutely in the right place. So that's one. And the way you fold these, the side that's got the proud edge is where you fold. Some people may not know that, but once you realise that, it makes life a lot easier. So I'm just doing that. There we go. So we're now ready. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to again put my double-sided tape onto the back. I'm sure this is going to run out any second because it does look as if that's almost done. In which case I might need to quickly find another one. Now this time round, to get our positioning right, we're going to use the old bunny ears trick. This is something that Natasha Foote told us about. Let me just quickly grab another roll of tape. There we go. So this one can go in the recycling, and we've got a nice new one. And this is a useful trick if you've not seen it before, to help you lay out. So you take literally just at the corner or the end of each run of tape, and this one off the center, and basically you use that, the fact that you haven't completely stuck it down, to you lay it down loosely, and then it allows you to kind of wiggle it around and just find that center point. So we're looking at even left and right, even top and bottom. And then you remove those tapes by pulling them away. That exposes the adhesive on the back, and there we go. So always use a bone folder just to make sure those layers are down. I am noticing this top border is slightly wider than the others, but obviously I've done that quite quickly to sort of demonstrate for you. I wouldn't normally allow that one to go, but in this scenario I will. And again, let's just stick the other one down. I don't like my videos to be too long. If they're too long, I find people tend to lose interest. And I mean, you may be speeding through bits of this anyway, but I try and keep them fairly short and sweet so that they're hopefully interesting. If anybody has any topics they would like me to cover in a future video, please do let me know. I'd be very interested. People have contacted me before and asked for demos for colouring and things like that, and I've done quite a few of those, so hopefully they were useful to people. I'm just noticing there's a few little jagged bits on that edge. There we go. So yeah, if you've got any comments, please add them into the comment section, and then I can see if I can help with whatever it is you want help with. But I have got lots of videos on my channel. There's a whole techniques playlist with lots of bits of card making videos, and then there are whole card instructions like this one from start to finish, where we start with a piece of blank paper and we end up with a completely finished card. So maybe check those out if you are looking for help in any specific area, just in case I've already done a video on it. So again, same technique here. You lay it down, you jimmy it around, get it roughly left and right, and then top and bottom. There we go. Pull those tapes off, and then again just go down with your bone folder on those layers just to make sure they're completely down. That also helps make sure the glue is completely stuck down as well, and you should find that you end up with the... Now I'm just a bit worried about this border. This has definitely got a few sticky bits from the adhesive of the pad, which is annoying. I did turn it over, but there are still a few. So a way to get rid of that is rub it. Also, you can do it with an eraser. If you use just a normal pencil eraser, that will usually get rid of that. There we go, that looks better now. Got a slight little bit there, but I can probably tidy that up just with a bit of blue ink. There we go. Well, that's all adds to the effect. Right, so there we go. That's 2 cards finished in, I don't know, 25 minutes. And basically what you can see there is a slightly dirty mark on that card, which I'm just going to take off with my rubber. 2 quite different looking cards. Obviously started off looking exactly the same. The stamp set is exactly the same. I've coloured the 2 central images in exactly the same way, using the same colours. But the difference is the time we spent with our edging. So I'm just going to pop those under just so it's a little bit closer, but you can see the 2 cards look quite different now. So you can see how this is simple, very clean and simple. It's not got the edging, it's not got the stenciling. It leaves it as a very clear-cut, clean and simple image. If that's your preference, fair enough. But by adding some simple stenciling, adding a bit of inking around the edge, you end up with a card that, in my opinion, has more depth. It draws your eye in, it's got a more interesting background, and it just looks slightly different. So it's just a different way of achieving different looks using different things. So hopefully you found that enjoyable and interesting. As I said, there are lots of videos on my channel, so if you want to particularly find out about a technique or the other, have a look. Most of the titles of my videos give you a clue as to what they're about, but hopefully something of interest might be there for you, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you.